My housemaid is actually a billionaire's daughter hiding from her family. Part 3. She had survived 2 attempts on her life. She had built a new name from nothing. She had hidden in plain sight for 6 months without anyone finding her. But nothing, not the danger, not the running, not the careful walls she had built around everything, had prepared her for a 5-year-old in an oversized apron standing at a kitchen counter with absolute confidence that they were about to bake cupcakes together. Sophie Hartwell had staff for this once, a pastry chef named Thomas, who produced extraordinary things from a kitchen she had entered perhaps 4 times in her life. Now she was misreading measurements, and Lily was adding chocolate chips, like the recipe was merely a suggestion, and the kitchen looked like something had exploded gently in it. And for the first time in 6 months, Sophie forgot, just for an hour, that she was hiding. But outside on the street, a black car was parked in the same position it had been in yesterday, and the day before. And when Sophie's phone buzzed that night, the message was 3 words that made her chest go cold. They are close.
The man appeared on a Monday morning. Sophie saw him first from the upstairs window while she was making Lily's bed. A black car parked across the street from 14 Magnolia Close. Not unusual for Victoria Island, where cars parked everywhere and meant nothing. But this one had been there yesterday, too. Same position, same angle. Engine off. She finished the bed without changing her pace. Tucked the corners the way Lily liked them. Placed Bruno the rabbit against the pillow in his usual position of authority. Then she went downstairs and made breakfast and said nothing. She texted Daniel from the bathroom at 9 o'clock. Black car. Parked outside 2 days. No plates visible from this angle. His reply came in 4 minutes. Do not go outside alone. I am checking. Sophie put the phone away and went back to the kitchen and began preparing the ingredients for that evening's dinner with the focused calm of someone who had learned that panic was a luxury she could not afford. By the time Ryan left for the office at 8, the car was gone. It came back at 2. Lily came home from school at 3:30 in the care of Mrs. Adeyemi from next door, a warm, loud woman who handed Lily over with the efficiency of someone who had done it many times and always had an opinion about everything. You are the new one, Mrs. Adeyemi said to Sophie at the gate, looking her over with the frank assessment of a woman who considered it a right. The last girl was lazy. The one before her had an attitude. She looked at Sophie a moment longer. You seem sensible. I try, Sophie said. Mrs. Adeyemi nodded once, the verdict delivered. Ryan is a good man. He just forgot how to let people in after Amanda. She said the name with the gentle weight of someone who had watched grief settle into a house and stay. That child needs a woman's presence. Her father loves her, but love is not the same as knowing what a little girl needs. She left before Sophie could respond. Sophie took Lily inside and closed the gate and did not look at the black car across the street. Lily wanted to bake. Sophie had never baked in her life. Not genuinely. There have been chefs for that. Pastry chefs specifically. In the Hartwell house in Abuja, a man named Thomas, who produced extraordinary things from a kitchen Sophie had entered perhaps 4 times in her life. But Lily was standing at the kitchen counter with a recipe book open to a page about chocolate cupcakes, wearing an apron 3 sizes too large, and looking at Sophie with the absolute confidence of someone who had no doubt whatsoever that this was happening. So they baked. It was objectively a disaster. Sophie misread the measurements twice. Lily added chocolate chips with an enthusiasm that bore no relationship to the quantity the recipe suggested. The first batch came out flat, and the second batch came out lopsided, and the kitchen looked like something had exploded gently in it. Lily declared them perfect. Sophie ate one and decided Lily was right. They were sitting at the kitchen table with chocolate on their hands and a plate of imperfect cupcakes between them when Lily looked at Sophie with the sudden focused attention that children produced without warning. Did your mummy teach you to bake? Lily asked. Sophie thought of her mother. Eleanor Hartwell, dead 12 years. A woman Sophie remembered mostly in fragments. A particular perfume, a way of laughing that filled rooms, hands that were always either holding something or reaching for Sophie. No, Sophie said gently. My mummy died when I was young. Lily absorbed this with the serious thoughtfulness she brought to important information. My mummy died too, she said. I was 3. I do not remember her face, but Daddy shows me pictures. She was very beautiful, Sophie said. I saw the photographs in the living room. Lily nodded. Daddy says I have her smile. She picked up a cupcake and examined it. Do you miss your mummy? Every day, Sophie said honestly. Lily looked at her. I miss mine every day, too. She set the cupcake down and said, with the simple, devastating directness of a 5-year-old, maybe that is why you have sad eyes. Because missing people makes your eyes sad, even when you are not crying. Sophie looked at this child. This small, fierce, gentle person who saw things that adults spent years learning to pretend they could not see. Maybe, Sophie said quietly. Lily slid off her chair and came around the table and hugged Sophie with the total commitment that children brought to hugs. Both arms, full weight, no reservation. Sophie held her and felt something she had been keeping locked for 6 months begin to come quietly undone. Ryan came home at 6:30 to a kitchen that smelled like chocolate and had flour on the counter, and a daughter who met him at the door holding a lopsided cupcake with both hands. We made these, Lily announced. Sarah and me. Sarah says perfect is boring. Ryan looked at Sophie over Lily's head. Sophie shrugged slightly. It seemed like the right thing to say. Something moved in Ryan's face. Not quite a smile. Something that was trying to become one and had forgotten how. He crouched down to Lily's level and took the cupcake and bit into it with the serious consideration of a professional taster. This, he said gravely, is the best cupcake I have ever eaten. Lily beamed with her mother's smile. Sophie turned back to the stove and said nothing and did not let him see her own expression because she was not entirely sure what it contained. She saw the man at 9 o'clock, not in a car, on foot, standing at the far end of Magnolia close under the yellow light of a street lamp, looking at the house with the particular stillness of someone who was not lost and was not waiting for anyone. Sophie stood at the upstairs window in the dark and looked back at him. He was too far away to see clearly, but something about the way he stood made her chest go cold. Professional stillness, the kind that was trained rather than natural. Her phone buzzed. Daniel. The car belongs to a private investigation firm. Registered in Abuja. Gerald hired them 3 weeks ago. Sophie, they're close. You need to move. She stared at the message. Move. Leave 14, Magnolia Close. Leave Lily and her lopsided cupcakes, and the puzzle with the difficult sky pieces, and the rabbit named Bruno who made tired better. Leave Ryan Fletcher and his almost smiles and his careful questions, and the way he had looked at her and Lily on the kitchen floor like a man, seeing something he had stopped letting himself want. She typed back slowly. Not yet. Give me 2 more weeks. I'm close to something. She was not close to anything. She had no proof. No case. Nothing that could put Gerald away. But she could not make herself type the word leave. She put the phone away and stood in the dark upstairs window and looked at the man under the street lamp until he turned and walked away and the street was empty again. Then she went to check that Lily's door was locked. Then she stood outside Ryan's closed bedroom door for a moment, listening to the quiet of the house. This house that had begun to feel like something it had no right to feel like yet. Then she went to her own room and sat on the edge of her bed and made herself think clearly. She was Sophie Hartwell. She was hiding. She was in danger. She was a woman with a target on her back and a secret that would change everything the moment it came out. She could not afford to feel at home here. She could not afford to feel anything here. She lay down and closed her eyes, and the last thing she thought before sleep came was not Gerald or Daniel or the man under the street lamp. It was Lily's arms around her, total and unreserved, and completely without condition. And how long it had been since anyone had held her like that. To be continued in Part 4.